Sergeant, okay? And at second intel battalion, she came in as the admin chief. Spent some time together, you know, definitely a way different personality than I have, and than most of the Marines had at the time. You know, she's one of her own, one of one. You know, the mold was broken when First Sergeant Rogers was made. So there was some learning points and growing pains along the way, but right away we hit it off. Had a great relationship, had a chance to deploy together. Went to Iraq, and First Sergeant Rogers, you know, she was a staff sergeant at the time, and way different staff NCO that I was ever used to working for before. During that time, we had a lot of growing pains. Had a Marine that unfortunately, you know, had some personal issues and had suicide ideations, you know, and it shows you the kind of Marine that First Sergeant Rogers is by the way she handled that. You know, that stands in my mind until today because everybody wrote that Marine off. Everybody was going to send him home, took his weapon, said, "You aren't fit to be here." First Sergeant Rogers was the only one that stood up for that Marine, and she took care of him. She guided him, she mentored him, she got him the help that he needed. And you know what? He made it through. She made a difference in his life. He made it through. After a few weeks, he got his weapon back, continued in the fight, finished the deployment, and then got a successful deployment under his belt, and made a difference during that time. So that just shows the kind of caliber of Marine that First Sergeant Rogers is. There's also been times when she takes care of people. It's clearly evident. But there's been times, me as a young Sergeant Corporal, tell another Marine, you know, hey, we're going to go fill some sandbags, and that Marine decides to throw a shovel across the lot, almost striking the First Sergeant, okay? Hey, that First Sergeant came to see me first. And, you know, got mine, what I deserved, and then First Sergeant Rogers, staff sergeant at the time, took care of it for me. You know, it ended right there. Some words were exchanged. She took the ass chewing for me, which I appreciated, and we moved on, okay? But those are just examples that just show that First Sergeant is the old core of a Marine. A lot of the senior enlisted are standing here. I consider that old core. I think there's things that used to be done a lot differently back then when you didn't write a Marine off right away. There was not so much negative paperwork. There was other ways to get things done. And the Corps has changed because Marines evolved. And that's absolute. But end of the day, I really appreciate that kind of leadership that you gave us, and the way that you stood for what you thought was right at the time. So First Sergeant Rogers, a great person, really an incredible leader. You know, she is one of the most humble leaders I've ever seen. When we were deployed together, just to tell you how humble she is, you know, she always shared her personal struggles. You know, somebody, I don't know if I'm going to embarrass you by saying this, but she always used to tell me about her financial problems. You know, when she was growing up, how she was crazy with money and she was getting loans and all kinds of stuff, and she was just getting deported. But she didn't have to tell me that or any of the other Marines. She could have kept it herself. But you know why she did that? She did that to make us better, so we don't make the same mistake. You know, we looked up to her as the staff NCO. So if she had made those mistakes, you know, we realized we're not too good or too smart to make them also. And that way, when she told us about it, it taught us a good, valuable lesson. Also, she was never afraid to ask for help when she didn't know anything. Very humble, and she knew where to go to get it done. For those of you that know Nicole, when you speak to her, it's incredible because you don't see it on the surface, but she's a super intelligent person, and not only book smart, but also street smart. One of the, you know, like I said, you were always a hustler and will be a hustler. And I say that only in a positive way because you know how to get things done. You know, the battalion commander, Andy Gillen, retired. Me and him were talking on email. I told him I was a retiring officer for you, and he was the best commander I ever had. And I know he's deep in your heart as well. And a couple things he wanted to mention to you. He said the same thing. A commander has a lot of horses in the stable. Well, he only has that one purebred he goes to get things done. And you were that Marine on that deployment for him. So he extends his gratitude. So with that being said, I don't want to pump you up too much, Nicole, for your speech. You know. He also appreciated your marksmanship into the clearing barrel at the chow hall. So he wanted to thank you. But that being said, we all go about. You know, you were a staff sergeant, you made some mistakes on deployment, but you know what? The caliber of Marine you are, the battalion commander and sergeant major, they always went to you for everything. And when that happened, you know, being the humble person you are, you took the punishment, you did what you could, and you never blamed anybody else, but got what you know what was given out and moved on, and got promoted to gunner sergeant that same deployment. Hurrah! Amazing. So, yeah, I definitely appreciate all your mentorship and all the outside the box thinking. I think there's a lot of leaders here that can, you know, read Marine Corps orders and think they're doing the right thing, but you know, First Sergeant Rogers, I think, is the epitome of the leader that thinks outside the box. People say there is no gray line, there's only black and white. Some people like that. That's not you. You live on the gray line, okay? You walk it finely. And you do a great job doing it. A lot of the things I learned from you is, you know, if you don't get the answers from the person you're asking, you just keep going down the line until you do get the answers, okay? So a lot of good insight, and I really appreciate it. You know, people like to say, as a Marine, you know, I'm self-made. I'm here because of me. You know, I'm far from that. I think, you know, I'm a product. You know, I'm something that became because of good leaders like you along the way. And you know, we only served together for about a couple of years, but anybody that steps in the room with you for 5 minutes knows that's who you are, and what you're about. You don't change for anybody, and I commend you on that. And you keep going down the line, and obviously you made you successful. I'm sure you ruffled a few feathers along the way, but what matters is you stay true to yourself, and I really, really admire that about you. So I want to tell you that. But First Sergeant Rogers, I'm not going to be too long because she promised me not to speak too much, but she has done a lot in the Marine Corps. She's been to 10 different duty stations, including Okinawa, Iwakuni, Camp Lejeune here, Camp Pendleton. She did a tour at the Pentagon, successful drill field tour, which is very good. So she's been a lot of places, done a lot of things, and you know what that tells me is that's a Marine that every one of us should strive to be. Somebody that wants to grow, somebody that doesn't want to get complacent in one place and be stagnant. You know, she's moved in 20 years 10 times to 10 different duty stations. On the drill field, I know you served in several capacities there. So that's a Marine that shows me, you know, she knows, she has a plan, and she's, you know, executing that plan. And she's only making the Marine Corps and her Marines better for that. So good on you, Nicole. All right. I had a couple of other things. Family and friends, thank you again for coming here. Your son Nigel, I'm sure you're proud of your mom. I want to thank you for the Marine Corps, for the service that Nicole has provided to the Marines, to our country and our Corps. It's not an easy life being a Marine, and she has done it, you know, without ever complaining, without ever, you know, dropping a beat, just marching on. You know, she's moved so many times. Her family, you know, obviously had to endure a lot with the deployment and always moving and constantly doing different things. So I want to thank you all for the sacrifices that you have made in your lives to allow Nicole to be the asset she was to the Marine Corps for 20 years. Thank you very much. I really embody what that meant, which is no matter what's going on, no matter how hard your personal life is, no matter how many issues you have with different leaders or different Marines, you always push on and you always accomplish the mission, and you take care of the Marines that are under your charge. And you know, from the bottom of my heart, being one of those Marines, I want to thank you for everything you have done for the Marine Corps, for me, for everybody sitting here, and job well done. And now it's time to move on to the civilian world and accomplish great success there. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. First, giving glory and honor to God. We all know, those of you that have been in close contact with me over the course of the week here, I was diagnosed with pneumonia for the first time in 20 years. The ultimate of the recruit crud. But by God's stripes, I am healed today, and I'm able to celebrate with my family and my Marine family as well. I would like to also give credit and honor to my battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Burrows. 9th Con has been my family for 4 years. I've grown as a mother, as a staff NCO, and as a person rallying around the guidon of 9th Ninth Communication Battalion. I promised these Marines out here yesterday that I would not keep them very long, for we have a great reception ahead and liberty following that. So I've always said, as a company first sergeant, that my three favorite acronyms were FMF. As Marines, we are taught that the acronym FMF means Fleet Marine Force. But for me and my Marines, FMF means don't mess with my family, my Marines, and my Friday. And I'm going to stay true to that. Okay? For the first time in 20 years, I have the privilege of having my closest relatives here to celebrate with me. I have my mother, Kim Johnson, who is a native of Louisiana, New Orleans, as well as my godmother, Deidre Jean Johnson Walker, vice versa. My baby brother, Nicholas, my favorite uncle, Enrique, my baby sister, Tyandra Jean Rogers, and my left hand, right hand, clap, clap, best friend for 4 years, Nisha Velarde. And of course, last but not least, Prince, baby boy. And I'm surprised First Lieutenant Slagewski didn't roast him as well. I want to thank First Lieutenant Slagewski for that wonderful retiree speech. I will forever be indebted to him for that. Okay? But he spoke about the Marine that I was and I became before when I arrived to 2nd Intel Battalion. However, I would like to go back to the year of 2002. I would like to start there. I'm not going to take you all the way back, Marines, to 1995. Because the journey really began in 2002. All right? If you're feeling a little bug in your stomach, you know that it's coming. All right? Before I go there, I want to make sure I acknowledge my boot camp rack mate, Miss Yelena Florence. She was the only recruit in my platoon from the country of Russia. Okay? She asked me the other day, what drew you to me? Was it because every time I missed the mark, the platoon got in trouble and you were a part of that? Or was it because you just felt sorry for me? I looked in her eyes and I responded, sister, it was a little bit of both. That tells you how the Marine Corps, regardless of our background, forges us together as family. Okay? In 2002, after being called to the drill field to drill instructor school, under the immediate guidance of now Sergeant Major Gregory Hall, I was taught and mentored and successfully became a drill instructor and received my campaign cover in June of 2002. As we all very well know, typically, depending on what's going on down there, a drill instructor gets a maximum of 30 days travel to relocate their family. Upon my relocation to Paris Island, I checked into one of the mightiest companies in 4th Battalion, which was November Company, led by the senior enlisted leader, First Sergeant at the time, Kimberly L. Bush. Currently, retired Sergeant Major Kimberly L. Bush is in the audience today, and I just want to thank her. I was going to share some sea stories, but I promised I wouldn't be here very long. What I will say is my battle buddy to the right of me was, at the time, Sergeant Kuza. And currently today, First Sergeant Kuza is in the audience. Additionally, as a brand new drill instructor, being called to serve as a receiving drill instructor augmentee, I was trained and tutored under First Sergeant Rosalia Schifo, who is in the audience on today. Okay? What you see here before you, Marines, is not how I came to them. Okay? What you see is years and years and years of other senior Marines as well as peers and juniors still sharpening steel. I thought about all the different ceremonies that I've gone to. I thought about what I would say, and I've decided to say really what's in my heart. You all have been my family. I've moved 10 times, but the most precious memories, aside from being a drill instructor and the birth of my son, have been made here at 9th Communication Battalion. I started out in headquarters company. Typically, the headquarters company of any battalion is the home of the senior first sergeant in the battalion. When I arrived, I was under that impression, so I knew I wasn't going to headquarters. At the time, Sergeant Major Baker had news for me. I resided in headquarters for 18 months, and throughout that time, I was privileged to be molded, mentored, sharpened, and ruffled up by Marines such as First Sergeant Holly Hardy, who's here, United States Marine Corps retired, Sergeant Major Reginald Baker, and the infamous Lieutenant Colonel Ahmed T. Williamson. Now, I was pet up after a while by Mrs. Williamson. First Lady Williamson actually called this week, and she prayed for me. And I believe that it was that prayer that God answered, that made it up there, and it's the reason why I'm here today. Fast forward a few years in 9th Com, doing great things like we always do. I was then transferred up to the 1MEF headquarters group, where I resided with such Marines as Colonel Herrera. I was here when he checked in. The infamous Sergeant Major Daryl Cisneros. I also served adjacent to the Marines of the 1MEF. Our Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, Ronald L. Green. I served with him in 3 capacities. Also, here, he could not be here, but also today here is Lieutenant Colonel Christine Rabaja, and I want to acknowledge her. Her and I served together on the drill field when she was a young captain and I was a young sergeant running around. And I appreciate through the years her staying in touch. I appreciate everybody that's here. I can point out every one of my company gunnies are here back there. Staff Sergeant Ward, Staff Sergeant Bowen, young Staff Sergeant Gunner Sergeant Williams, Staff Sergeant Kristen. I was cross-eyed right there. I have Gunner Sergeant Heath here, and some of the young sergeants and other gunner sergeants out there, as well as my company commander, Captain Felder, that have taken out the time in their busy schedule to be here with me. There are also a few more people that are coming. And from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate everything my Marine Corps family has done for me. I would be here all night if I named every single Marine that I've come in contact with that hasn't made a difference in my life. There's no one greater than the other, because when it's all said and done, the final product is what you see here today. My family, that goes without saying. They are the true unsung heroes of my success. All of them. Not one is more important than the other. And so, family, I appreciate you putting up with me. I appreciate you going through the storm of the events that have occurred over the course of the past 2 years. I appreciate you not locking me in the closet during this week. And I promise you, I'll do everything I can to make our upcoming time together, our years in the future, better than these years that we've shared together in the past. Before I close, allow me please to face the Marines behind me and address them forward to the upcoming year. As although I may not be in the active duty component, I shall always be a Marine that you can reach out to. Someone that will serve as your listening ear. Someone that will guide you. Someone that will always try to set the example for you. This you can expect from me, and I ask of you the 3 following things. Number 1, stay true to who you are and what you love. The easiest way to excel in the Marine Corps is starting with your heart. Always stay hungry. Stay hungry for information that will make you and your Marines ultimately successful on the battlefield. And finally, stay true to your family, your God, and your Corps. Never putting one in front of the other. Thinking giving yourself time enough to think rationally to whereby your decision will complement not only your God, your country, your core, but also your family. Oftentimes, our family takes a back seat to the mission that the Marine Corps puts out to us. I ask that you remember, just as I have tried to over the years, that the Marine Corps and your family can live harmoniously and you can have a successful tour without sacrificing one or the other. I ask you to reaffirm your commitment to the Corps by going back and reading your NCO creed throughout the course of your time in Corporate Corps. Your days are going to be long. The lessons are going to be tough. The discipline from First Sergeant Mendez is going to be given, whether you want to receive it or not. But I know deep down in my heart that you all can make it. You can succeed, and you can carry our Corps into the next century because you, Marines, are the future of my Corps. I look forward to your successes. I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. I ask that my Heavenly Father will bless you and your family, and that His will go forth in your lives. Without any further ado, I would like to say from the bottom of my heart and my family, thank you, Semper Fidelis Marines. Good luck and Godspeed. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. God bless me to be able to articulate my thoughts without having sweaty eyeballs today. And I think we'll all be able to celebrate more in the fellowship hall over at Headquarters Battalion. The reception will be catered by Felix, and there's more than enough food to go around for everybody. The weather is warming up, and I'm not going to hold you very much longer. I ask that you all will do me the honor of taking Marine Corps birthday ball style photos in the reception hall with me and my family after you, of course, have gotten some chow and something to drink. Sir, I appreciate your patience, your love for me and my family. I appreciate you all. Words do not can't even express how I feel right now. I'm so overjoyed because for those of you that know me, I've wrestled with this bull being the retirement ceremony for months. I couldn't stop working to take time for myself. So coincidentally, today is the 20th year anniversary of me being in the Marine Corps. So thank you for celebrating with me. I pray God's blessings over your lives and over your family, and I wish you all continued success. Thank you all. Thank you, Company Commander. I love you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Building, I stand watch in America's Hall of Justice. I fly majestically over great institutes of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshipped. I am saluted. I am respected. I am revered. I am loved. And I am feared. I have fought every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Nairobi, the deserts of Africa, the cane fields of the Philippines, the rice paddies and jungles of Guam, Okinawa, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and a score of places long forgotten by all of those who were there with me. I was there. I led my soldiers, I followed them. I watched over them, they loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn, and tired, but my soldiers cheered me on, and I was proud. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of countries I have set free. It does not hurt me. for I am invincible. I have been soiled, burned, turned, and trampled on the streets of my country, and when it is for those with whom I serve in battle, it hurts, but I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the bonds of earth, and I stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space, and from my vantage point on the moon. I have been a silent witness to all Americans' finest hours, but my finest hours come when I am torn into stripes to be used for bandages for my wonderful comrades on the field of battle, when I fly half-mast to honor my soldiers, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a mother at the great service for fallen son. I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Dear God, long may I live. United States Marine Corps. The Marines of 9th Communication Battalion take pleasure in presenting this certificate to First Sergeant Nicole M. Rogers, certifying this American flag was flown with honors over 9th Communication Battalion, Camp Pendleton, California, on the 22nd day of October. From all the Marines at 9th Communication Battalion, thank you for your patriotic service and dedication. Signed, Damon K. Burroughs, Lieutenant Colonel, Commanding Officer, 9th Communication Battalion.